All right, everyone. David Saturday Night Sitback is stoked to welcome Dr. Hugh Harrison Hunger to the show. He is the owner and lead chiropractor at August Chiropractic. Graduating from Parker University, Dr. Hugh had the honor of working with our nation's vets during his clinical rotation at the Austin VA Hospital. He also has experience working with athletes from multiple backgrounds, including former Olympic gymnasts, pro soccer players, and bodybuilders. You were at one time a personal trainer, but now you're doing things like publishing articles through Parker University on subjects such as the effects of adjustments on extremities. No big deal. Hugh and I met through our barber, Phil Winfrey, the best barber in Austin, Texas. And today, Hugh is on the show to talk about exercises we don't do because they scare us, the things like confrontation, screen time, and a few other subjects he doesn't I plan on bringing up. One of Hugh's quotes from another show that he was on is that, "I don't fix boo-boos. He's here to allow you to live the best life you can." Hugh, welcome to the show.
This is going to be interesting. I'm going to love this. Started off. This is. I don't fix boo-boos.
Well, it was a powerful quote.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Granted, maybe it was delivered better when the audience had been listening to you talk for an hour, and there is a little bit more credibility.
You know what? That's great. I'm just going to go around and start saying that. Just letting you know, I don't fix boo-boos. I'm just going to do everything else. I don't know what. Your background check is amazing.
I stole it from your website. But,
I do.
But yeah, no, totally. I looked you up on LinkedIn and obviously your Instagram account. And one thing I wanted just to kick off real quick with is you really love what you do.
Oh, absolutely love what I do.
If you watch his videos on Instagram, the way you interact with your clients, the way you're smiling and laughing, it's not for the camera, because you can sort of tell when someone's doing something for the camera and when they're just having fun, and you're having fun.
Oh yeah, I don't mean to be so laughing. Like when I started my practice, I really wanted it to be like regal and professional, and of course, still professional.
Maybe.
To an extent, but like the amount of laughs and I guess just the personality that comes out of my patients and how much we go back and forth and quid pro quo, and the amount of laughing that's in my clinic, I think is a testament to itself.
Why do you like it?
Which part, the laughing or the clinic?
Well, everyone loves laughing. If you don't, we need a whole other kind of doctor for you to talk to.
Okay.
So why do you love what you do so much?
Man, okay, so ever since I was a little kid, I always wanted to help people, and I mean, if you want to go deep into it, that goes into kind of the what is the hero villain origin stories. Have you ever heard this?
Yeah.
Where it's like people go through really hard times, and in those hard times, they get to choose whether they get to inflict those same hard times on other people, or they get to decide that other people should never have to feel that way. And so a hero is the person who's like, I don't want anyone to feel that way. And a villain is like, I will get revenge on the world for making me feel this way. I chose the hero side of things, not to, toot my own horn, but in that I looked at the world and I said, how can I do this in the most effective manner that uses all of my skills? And I like people, even though at the end of the day, sometimes I am drained, but I like people, I like helping people, and my knowledge of the body and my athleticism that is performed in the adjustments really seems to come together in an amalgamation that helps people, and I just love it.
I did not know what the word amalgamation meant until I started this podcast.
Yeah, now.
And someone said it to me, and he could tell by the look on my face. I was just like, WTF? Why are you using these big words with like 12 letters in them?
Amalgamation, myriad. Good words.
Why do you think as a kid you wanted to help people? You should be busy like playing basketball and, stuff.
Oh, well, I mean, there was a little bit of both sides of that. Definitely playing basketball and having a brother beat up on me and me wanting to beat up on him. But overall, I would just like to help people. I don't really have a reason.
Sure.
It's just there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Older brother?
Older brother,
How many years older?
4 years older.
What's his name?
Bobby.
Did you ever beat him up?
There was one time where we were wrestling. I think I was like 17, and all of a sudden he's like got me on the ground, and I just like start overpowering him, and the look on his face, I was just like, here comes the time. He just knew. He was like, no, my throne is being usurped.
I don't know if I ever usurped my brother's throne. Because I think by the time I was probably strong enough, you know what it was? I felt bad for him. Because he accidentally got his girlfriend married, and then they had a kid, and then he was always stressed out about like money and this child. So he stopped going to the gym, and he withered away to nothing. And then I felt bad.
You should never feel bad. You should just look him in the eye and be like, you deserve this.
Maybe the next time I see him, I'll change this.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. How old's your brother?
He's also 4 years older.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, his name's not Bobby though. It's Mark.
Ah, close enough.
Yeah,
Simple names.
simple names. You did not grow up in Austin.
I split my time on the outskirts of Austin and the west side of Houston.
Okay.
Yeah, so Llano, Texas, if you know where that is, small town, 4,000 people, tiny town on the outskirts of Austin, and then Katy, Texas, which is the west side of Houston, suburbs.
Why were you guys going back and forth?
A little bit of, well, my dad was in the oil business, so we started in Houston, and then finally my dad needed some help raising the village per se, and so we went out to Llano so we could get help from my grandmother, my aunt, and then once that all got said and done, we moved back to Katy because I think my dad was trying to do the best to give us the best education we could have, because Katy's education system is spectacular. The problem is that the property taxes and everything is sky high. So we were living in the suburbs, but let's just say my dad was worried every time the water ran too long.
What's Llano like?
L-
4,000 people is not a lot.
No, 4,000 people is a small amount of people. It really is like everybody knows everybody, but that comes with the consequences that rumors spread. Like somebody sees you with somebody and all of a sudden they're like, oh, they're together now, even though I have no idea what's going on. So rumors spread, but everybody was very connected. And small town life is actually pretty delightful. I was a little bit younger at the time, so I can't say what it's like when you're older. But as a kid, growing up on a ranch, it's pretty awesome and terrible. The chores were atrocious, but the freedom to just like look at my dad and go out into a pasture until it gets dark is pretty cool.
Did you ever watch Yellowstone?
I have not.
Do you think subconsciously you maybe didn't watch it because you grew up on a ranch, so the last thing you want to watch is a show about a ranch?
That's probably fair. That's fair. Just sitting there and they're like, "Oh, go tend to the cows or the horses," and I'd be like, "I know how that is."
Yeah.
Yeah, waking up, tending to the chickens was always a fun ordeal. Yeah.
There's this one scene where all of the cowboys are herding these cattle, and they take out the main rancher's daughter and is also his executive assistant, who's a female, and they both know how to ride horses, but they've never really herded cattle. And they go out there, and it's just this beautiful scene in Montana, right? With just like the sun is bright, the grass is green, you got all these cows, and just the music they played and the way they shot the scene. At the end of it, the daughter and the assistant, they were like, you guys call this work? This is awesome. This isn't work. And the show just makes ranching seem like the best life ever. And you get to kill people and get away with it.
No comment.
Right? Just kidding. We'll have to clip that out.
No, ranching definitely has its perks. Personally, for me, it was actually really delightful. There were times where you're just like dead tired, but you still have to wake up at the crack of dawn to do the chores. And that's where it wears on you, when you're just like, it doesn't stop.
The cows don't stop eating on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So teenage life, were you more in the Houston area, or what was the city you said it was actually called?
Katie.
Katy, were you more in Katy in your teenage years?
More in Katie in my teenage years, which in the suburbs it can be good and bad. I was lucky because the setup of I was at the end of a cul-de-sac or in a cul-de-sac where there were tons of kids. So we got out, we were playing capture the flag, we were playing like in the park behind our house and trying to jump over it's Bayou City, so we were jumping over bayous and getting into quite a bit of shenanigans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we like shenanigans. You ever go reindeer stacking?
Now you must tell me the story of reindeer stacking.
Do you know what it is?
No, I have no idea.
If you had to guess, what do you think it is?
Christmas time comes around, people have all their reindeers, and you either just put them in a, I don't know, what, you put them on top of each other?
Well, you try to make it look like they're getting humped. But you nailed it. You got there pretty quick.
There we go.
You're smart.
People tell me that sometimes.
I will now trust you to do the neck twisty thing on me because you were able to deduce what reindeer stacking was.
That's the litmus test?
Yeah.
You're just like, yes, do you know what reindeer stacking is? Now you can be my
Now there is
chiropractor.
trust.
Yes.
Yep. What was high school like?
High school, I was just thinking about this the other day. Somebody asked me, like, what, clique did you fall in? And I was kind of in none of them, but all of them at the same time. I wasn't really part of the party crowd, and I'm a little bit more of an introvert. But since I was involved in so many sports, I was still, I guess, party adjacent. And I was invited, and like my friends were, getting drunk at parties, but I didn't drink, so I was always the person who picked them up from the parties. And I don't know, it was an interesting time in high school. My graduating class was around 700, which is a ton of people.
Mm-hmm.
And like even when we were graduating, the guy next to me, I had never seen him in my entire life, but he brought a Game Boy because the ceremony was so long.
Smart.
Yeah, I was so jealous. So the whole time I just watched him play Pokemon Yellow, and he almost finished the game by the time we got done with the ceremony. I was pretty jealous of all that. That's a rant right there. But let's see. So teenage years in Katy, Texas depended on the friends that you had, and I was very lucky to have the most amazing friends. We still get in contact to this day. It's pretty amazing.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any. I still have one friend that I probably would have lost contact with if she wasn't associated to the family by marriage now. But we've literally known each other since whatever age you're in preschool. And like we were friends in preschool, so we've known each other our whole lives. But outside of her, I don't have any highs. Oh, actually, shit, there's another one. But I don't think she listens to the podcast. So me and Drew, if you're listening, Drew and Catherine are the two people I was thinking about. Me and Drew are in touch, but I'm in here. She's in San Diego, California, so it's hard to keep in touch. But yeah, I feel like most people, you end up once you lose that common factor, and you go to separate colleges and you sort of build separate lives, and naturally your lives just sort of part ways. Why do you think you and your friends stayed in touch?
It's definitely not my doing. I'll have to say I'm a terrible proximity friend. I'm one of those friends that you can call and immediately it's like no time has passed because I respect people's boundaries. And if we're not in the same city, I'm not going to call you every second of the day. But if you ever need me, you can give me a call and I'll be there. But my friends check in on each other. We like my good friend, he's in a band, and so he travels all over, and it's Streetlight Cadence. Plug that.
Streetlight Cadence?
Streetlight Cadence, actually.
Cool, never heard of them.
Great band. They started on the streets of Hawaii, actually. That's why it's called Streetlight Cadence. He started because he went to the University of Hawaii. He needed some extra money for groceries, and so he started busking on the streets. And then he was like, hey, this is pretty cool, and I really love doing this. And they put a little band together, and for a while they were on the radio in Hawaii. And it's just cool that I get to brag on my friends in that way. But we all call each other every once in a while. Every time my friend Johnny comes into town because he has a gig, I'll pick him up from the airport, and it's fun.
Yeah. This guy right here, and also same man right there, he's brought up way too much on this podcast, just for the same reason that he's my friend and I like to support what he's doing with his music. And yeah, I just helped him install a bidet.
Okay. Let me just say this. For the longest time, I resisted bidets. And then I was in Colorado, and it was also heated, so it was amazing. And I sat down and I was like, all right, when in Rome, right? And all of a sudden I'm just like, I love bidets. I walked out of that bathroom. Everybody like knew. They like waited for me to say anything. And I was like, that toilet seat is amazing. And they were like, see, we knew it. It's just the bidet experience.
So did you get one?
I have a bidet. I haven't installed it yet.
Guess I'm going to your place next. Because I feel like he had his for 2 months.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if he was just scared of like messing something up and the toilet would be unusable. And then he's like knocking on it. So I was just like, can I just come over and do it with you? Sort of for you.
You just wanted to experience the bidet?
No, I have one here. So if you want me to fire up the coffee pot so that you can use it before you leave, we can do that. And it's the heated one.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I wanted everyone to have
You went deluxe.
I wanted everyone to have a great experience coming on this podcast.
That's fair, man.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we may have to do that.
We'll be up all night, but why do you think you didn't drink in high school?
Man, that's actually a really easy answer. My mother is an alcoholic, and I saw what it did to people, and I was just like, I don't want any of that. It was actually 29 until I started drinking. So
You're older than 29? I had to pay you a compliment.
What a compliment.
Right.
This guy.
So is she sober now?
No.
I'm sorry.
I know.
So yeah, I heard that from. Dude, I don't know where I heard this phrase, but it just stuck with me. That if you have two kids whose parent is an alcoholic, and one probably drinks all the time, and the other one probably never drinks. And if you ask the one that drinks all the time, why do you drink so much? She'll probably say because mom did or dad did, whoever. And if you ask the one who never drinks, why do you never drink? They'll probably say because mom did or dad did.
That's exact. No comment on that. That's too accurate. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I wish I knew where I picked up that little nugget.
Huh. That's pretty funny.
That little cough drop.
If you need
one.
Yeah, now to say, just to clarify, my brother doesn't excessively drink, but he does drink often, and so I'm wondering about that.
How often why did you finally drink at 29? What was the occasion? Can I guess?
Let's go.
You opened the office.
Close enough. I graduated chiropractic school. Yes.
Let's go. What did you drink?
This is terrible. I didn't drink anything of commentary. My friend literally was just like, when we graduate, you have to take a shot with me. And I was like, all right, let's go. And no joke, the ceremony, we had like a little party when we graduated, and he came to me at the party and he was like, time to fulfill your deal, sir. And I was like, let's go. I have no idea what was in that shot glass, but it was terrible.
It was probably, did it taste like rubbing alcohol?
Yes.
I wonder if it's vodka.
Probably.
Yeah.
Thinking back, it was either vodka or tequila, but distant cousins of each that were just too much alcohol.
Yeah, yeah. Were you in your... your dad was in the picture. Yeah, you talked about him. He's the oil guy.
Mm-hmm.
What was your and your mom's relationship like? Am I allowed to ask that?
Yeah, sure. I've seen my mom once since I was 11, so a little rough. My mom is how do I say this? My mom is the personality of the family. She is definitely the party animal and has like a magnetic personality and like calls everybody sugar and it's adorable. It's just like, so me and my mom's relationship is good. It's just hard to watch somebody that you love be in that state so often. Like there was one time she lives in Minnesota, and I called her for Christmas, and had a conversation while she was inebriated. And then the next day she called me and she was like, "You didn't call me for Christmas." And I was just like, "Yeah, I did."
How old were you that year?
I think it was 18. Yeah, it was a tough time.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Since 11.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Did she move out?
She moved out. Well, my parents got divorced when I was 2, so she was always kind of in the area. But my mom met this saint of an individual who lived in Minnesota, but would travel down for her work. And then, of course, they got to know each other. They got married. She moved up to Minnesota, and she made the promise of coming back down once they settled up there, but that just never happened.
Do you have any idea if they're still together?
I don't actually. Just recently, she changed phone numbers, and me and my brother lost contact with her. Yeah.
How often did you talk with her before that?
Not often.
Not often.
Yeah, it was maybe like 3-4 months at a time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you got a text message from her, and it said, "Hugh, it's your mom, and I've been sober for 2 years.
Wow.
And I'd love to have a conversation with you about whatever you'd be willing to have a conversation about."
Absolutely. Yeah. No harsh feelings. It's just, if that day comes, I will rejoice in that. That is amazing.
How about when that day comes?
Yeah, when that day comes. There we go. When that day comes. I guess I am a little pessimistic at it just because for so long I've tried and it never came to fruition.
So it sounds like it's the only thing you've ever known.
Yes. With her, it is the only thing I've ever known. Yeah. Drinking and smoking. So
What is your personal relationship with alcohol? Do you drink that much?
I don't drink often just because I don't like the way it makes me feel.
Yeah.
I will drink when I go out for social occasions, but I have never been blackout drunk.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
One of my buddies had a moment of weakness the other day, and I almost don't even want to tell the story. At one point, he's lying down on the ground, and me and the other people here were just talking, and we just hear him say, "I need fresh air."
Oh, no.
And so he goes stumbling over to the door, opens it up, and just pukes all over my porch. And so then the people that came with him were nice enough to clean it up, which was really kind of them, and they took him home. And I went to bed, cleaned up, and went to bed. And the next day I wake up and I get my coffee and I get Thad out of his crate and we get back in bed together, which is our morning tradition. We do it every morning. And as I'm sitting there petting him and just thinking about the prior night, I'm thinking, those gaps in between the wood planks on the porch are pretty large.
Oh, no.
And I haven't really met my downstairs neighbors.
You have now.
So dude, it took me, this realization was probably like 7:30 in the morning. It took me till 2 p.m. of debating internally how I'm going to have this conversation. And finally, I'm like, I really need to just get down there. So I march on down and knock on their door. Knock. I say, "Hey, you don't know me. I'm David. I live upstairs." And I tell them everything I just told you. And I said, "There's probably some on your porch, and I'd like to volunteer to clean it up." And the guy's like, "Let's look." And so we go out there, and my heart just sank. It was so much. I was like, this is awful. So I did what I had to do, and I cleaned it up. And they haven't really talked to me since.
Oh, no way. You should send them a little care package.
I should send them the remains of the cocktail we were drinking.
That's what you should do. That is perfect. Just so you remember me.
Yeah.
Here is the culprit.
Well, I just completely derailed this thing. We were talking about your mom, and you've never been blackout drunk. That's awesome.
I have, because I didn't drink for so long. I'm a lightweight, so getting drunk is not hard. Blackout drunk, I kind of know my limits where I'm just like, all right, now's the time to stop. I will not keep going.
Good boy. Good job.
Thanks.
Good boy. I'm so used to saying it to that. I just.
Now I'm thinking what dogs think when you say "good boy." What do they say back?
He just looks at me and wags his tail.
Yeah, he's doing a great job right now.
He is. He's not knocking things over.
No. So the first time I was drunk enough to, vomit. I was at a bachelor party, actually. My good friend, my best friend, Chris, he invited me to his bachelor party, and I was around some of the coolest and best individuals ever, and we started playing drinking games. And I found out that I'm very good at this drinking game called baseball. I don't really know the rules. I just know, trust me, I just know that if the ball goes off the table, you're supposed to catch it before it hits the ground. And I'm sitting there, and I'm just like lightning catching these things. And apparently, if you make them, you get to target somebody who has to drink. And so they noticed that I was playing really good defense. And so they're just like, Hugh, Hugh, Hugh. And I was like, crap. And eventually I hit this part in the game where my coordination started declining, and they were like, it's working. And so they just kept attacking me. And finally I disappeared for a little bit, and I came back in, and they were like, Hugh, where'd you go? And I was like, oh, I went outside and threw up in the sewer. And they all looked at me, and they were like, that's incredible. Like, what a great idea.
It is a great idea.
Yeah.
I wish he that will not be named had that idea. Like, there's all these plants outside or a toilet in the bathroom, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's plenty of areas.
Wow, you get smarter when you get drunk. It
Um,
has like adverse effects on you. You don't like how you feel, and you get more intelligent. Whereas most people get really stupid, and they do like how they feel. This is wild. Just do some analysis on your blood or something.
oh no, that's not good. That's my superpower. Oh, what's that movie where he's like playing drinking games and he's terrible until he gets drunk? Oh, is it Euro Trip? No. Oh, dang it.
Dang it.
It's where they say Das Boot a lot. Nope. Okay, it's not coming to me.
It's not coming. Sorry that he laid down on your headphones. You're stuck. Post high school, did you have any? So you graduated. Game Boy dude was there. Did you have any idea what you wanted to do with your life?
No. I like to think that I did, but I really had no clue. I was just in fight or flight all the time, that I was like, I have to do something, so I'm going to choose pharmacy. And I have no idea why I chose pharmacy, because it turns out that I hate chemistry, and that's a lot of chemistry.
That's sort of why I stopped doing kinesiology.
Really?
Because they had me taking like some class learning the periodic table, and I'm like, if a football player breaks his leg, do you think I'm going to be referencing this thing as we're doing PT?
That's fair.
It was really dumb.
Yeah.
So I left.
We did have to know the periodic table quite a bit. I don't ever reference that. That's spot on.
So pharmacy was for. Did you have a gap between when you graduated, when you went to college, or did you jump right in?
Immediately. I didn't even want to go to college. So I was like, I don't like school. I really started being serious about school maybe my junior year of high school. All the other times I kind of just coasted by. And finally, one of my coaches, who is an incredible academic, he was Coach Hafer, and he came to me and he was like, hey, I just want to let you know, you're wasting your potential. And I was like, no, nobody who is a great competitor wants to hear that, right? Oh, he's good.
Okay.
Nobody who's a great competitor wants to hear that they're wasting some form of potential that's already inside of them. So I was like, what's this potential you talk about? He's like, you're pretty smart. You just need to apply yourself. And I was like, what does that look like? And he kind of guided me through it. No one had ever really been like, you need to invest in your academics just like you invest in athletics. And I was like, oh, I guess that makes sense. No one had really broken it down in a really digestible way for me. So
You played sports?
I played a lot of sports.
Which ones?
I in high school I played football, soccer, cross country, and track.
Jeez.
Yes, and I played all those in school, but then I also did club soccer. Look, he took your spot.
He did. It's his spot technically.
It's his place. You just live here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why'd you play so many sports? Why not?
It was an escape.
From?
I lived in a single parent home. Life was hard. I had a mom who drank all the time, and I just loved the athletic component where Again, I was a little bit of an introvert, and when you're playing sports, you don't necessarily have to talk to people, but you still have camaraderie. And so I was just like, hey, these are my teammates. I have no idea who they are, but they're my teammates. Yeah.
Did you have any other siblings, or is it just Bobby?
I had a lot of step siblings growing up. My dad's been remarried a lot.
Okay. Do you know them?
Do I know them?
The step siblings.
I hope so. Yes.
Maybe they're all just like running. I don't know. Just
Okay, that's correct. So I currently have 2 step siblings in Minnesota area, and I have no idea who they are. So that's a fair statement. But growing up, yeah, I think I've had let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've had 6 step siblings.
okay.
Yeah, it's quite a bit.
Yeah. Are any of them in Austin?
No,
Where's your dad right now?
he is in Llano.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you see him often?
I do not. He is a hermit and like doesn't have a phone. Hermit.
Really?
Oh yeah.
He doesn't own a phone.
Not currently.
Depending on how many you brought, there is potentially 5 in this house right now. Don't ask why. One's the emergency line in the panic room, you know.
Wait, do you actually have a panic room?
One's the one where if you just
Is
hold
there a
down-
bidet in the panic room?
Well, yeah.
I would hope so.
You're panicking. All the help you can get. Of course there's a bidet in the fucking panic room.
Smart choices. Oh my goodness.
You know what I've noticed about you?
What?
You don't curse.
Not often.
Why?
Okay. This is actually really funny. I curse sometimes. I learned it. I used to watch South Park when I was in first grade. I started watching South Park in first grade. So I definitely know how to cuss. But I grew up in a family where you definitely respect your elders and a little bit of Southern hospitality, and you do not cuss around. Like my Granny Betty, she would not handle that well.
Granny Betty.
That's correct. That's correct. She is the matriarch. So I learned how to switch it off depending on the situation that I'm in. Which is so like in this, I would consider this, a semi-professional setting. I don't want to be just dropping F-bombs all over your podcast.
Well, I mean, I always try not to in the first 10 minutes because I've heard rumors that it hurts your analytics or something like that.
Okay, good.
So
It's good to know.
10 minutes, I try to be very clean.
And then after
and then
the 10
as soon
minutes.
as it gets to 10:01, it's just F this and that C sucker and
wow. Wow. Do you cuss?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I didn't know.
It's all the time.
You also haven't cussed yet, so I don't know.
No, I have.
Oh.
I've been listening.
Oh.
I'm not implying you're not listening. I'm just saying I know thyself.
Yes.
So, Granny Betty. So, if you were just to be like, "What the fuck is up, Granny?" Would you get what would happen?
Oh, my family's got this thing, and my dad does the same thing. It's where they their eyes widen and they just pierce into your soul with the look, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, that's where we're going with this." And my granny would just be like, "Oh, don't you do that." And I would freeze up for a second, but then now that I'm older, her hold on me is not as strong, so I can just play with whatever she sends my way.
Is she short?
Yes.
Okay, because you definitely were doing this when you were pretending to be her.
Oh yeah, she's short, so she always looks up at me, and she's always like, because she's also part of the generation that wasn't very affectionate, so I always say "Hey, Granny Betty, I love you," and she always goes, "I sure like you." And it's the cutest thing ever. So when I write her letters, I make sure to put that at the bottom. I'm always like, "I sure like you, Granny." And it's super cute. It's kind of our little inside joke. But I'll also give her hugs, and I'll be like, "Oh, you just need a hug." And she's like, "Oh, stop that." And I'm just like, "I know you like it."
I love the dynamics between you and Granny. Yeah. Granny B.
Granny B.
Yeah, this is cute.
No, she's a wonderful lady. Definitely is getting up there in age, but she's a wonderful oil painter, to a degree that is it's kind of sad because we've all discussed when Granny Betty goes, I get that painting. And like we all have our little claim because they are just wonderful landscape paintings of like wildflowers and like a cabin out in the hill country. It's really cool.
That is cool.
Mm-hmm.
When my this is sort of a somewhat sad but very sweet. I think it's a sweet story. My grandpa made his living off painting.
No way.
Yeah, doing watercolors. He would sell his originals for like $15,000 to $20,000 at a show, which was insane because me and my brother, well, all my siblings and my sister would hate it if I said she wasn't there. She was definitely there. But we would help him like set up and take down the shows, and whenever he sold an original, it was like, isn't that wild that he just made that much money in like a matter of seconds, and he could just like.
It's amazing.
You know,
although it wasn't really seconds, it was like hours and hours of
well,
painting.
right. But anyways, he always did, sounds like similar to Granny B. He did a lot of nature. He did a lot of architecture. His wife passed away, and he decided he wanted to do a series of abstracts. So he did like 18 of them and used these really bright, vibrant colors. And I wish I had a picture of one on my phone so I could show you, but I don't. That being said, he did 18 of them, and he never got to show any of them. Because one day he fell over, we brought him to the hospital, found out he had cancer, and like 48 hours later he had passed away.
No way.
So we showed them one time at his funeral. We did like 2 funerals. We did one that was like family only, but then we did another one where we rented this room at a hotel. We set up the 18 paintings and got all of his most loyal clients together, and they got to come through and see the paintings and whatnot. I ended up getting one. One day, randomly, like this was in like 2016 or something, years after he passed, I have a random phone number call me, and I pick up, and they say, hey, is this David O'Clair, grandson of Ed Hawes? And I said, it is. And we made chit chat for a few minutes about grandpa and family and how everyone's doing and just like whatnot. And so then I don't remember his name, so let's call him Sam. I said, well, Sam, it's been real good chit chatting with you, but what can I do for you today? And he said, I heard you have one of the originals from that you guys showed at the funeral. And I said, I do. And he said, I don't even know which one you have, but I'd be willing to pay you $30,000 for it. So I sold it. No, I'm kidding.
It's just like, it was out the door in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I still have it.
are you sure?
I'm just, well,
I don't see the proof.
He called me a couple months ago, and we're up to 70K, so I'm just waiting to no, I'm kidding. He calls me once a year at the better figure, and I'm just hoping this geezer doesn't die before I get to 100,000, which is my goal.
Wow. That's amazing.
That of that was a lie. It was true up until the $30,000 part.
Oh,
that part was true.
bummer.
That call really happened, and he really did offer the money, but he has not been calling back since then.
Bummer. I was about to say, like, where's the painting? Is it in your safe room? How do I get in there?
It's in the safe room.
Okay, so where the bidet is, I'm slowly localizing this.
This room's got to be big enough for a painting and a toilet. Every podcaster needs one. You don't know who's out there.
Podcasters are just inherently in danger now.
Yeah. All right, he's gonna take a sip of water, and I'm gonna reread my notes real quick because there were some questions.
This is great.
Are you having fun?
Yeah, this is amazing.
I can't tell.
I don't think anybody's asked me about my mother before. And this is fantastic.
It's very different from I listened to you on like Get Big or Die. What's it called?
Close enough. It is Grow or Die podcast. Yeah.
Shout out the Grow or Die podcast.
Correct. Justin Mahaley is a hoot, I will say. It was the first time I was on there. I was just on there recently. The first time I was on there, I was like, it was hard to rein him in because he was just like, let's go topic, and then jumped all over. We were both squirrels in that aspect. ADD, ADHD squirrels.
I my favorite thing about him is his laugh. There is one part where he was laughing so hard. This is actually sort of a funny story. I was at the gym today working out, doing some calves.
Yeah.
I love my calves. And there's a personal trainer working with their client, and she was sort of facing like my direction. Uh-huh. And he was laughing so hard that I started laughing in the middle of my set. And I'm like bent over, like I put the calf machine down. I'm like bent over, just chuckling at this man. He's just so happy. And then I look up, and this is the not happy part of the story. The personal trainer looks at me, rolls her eyes, and then steps to the other side of her client so her back is to me. And I thought, why is it bad that I'm happy?
Yeah, how dare you?
You miserable
In the
fuck.
gym, you can. In the gym, you cannot laugh.
You're not allowed.
It's for facing your demons.
I mean, it is.
Yeah, correct.
We're all there fighting something and wishing we looked better.
Yeah, and hopefully you can laugh at your demons, right?
So I can now.
Good.
Yeah. So you were pharmacy first, and then what happened?
And then I quickly realized that I did not want to be in that path. And so I came back the next summer, and I was just like, what am I going to do with my life? And I went to my gym back home, and there's these two guys set up at this table at my gym, and I'm just like, what are y'all guys doing here? And they were like, we're chiropractors. And I was like, what is that? That is a weird name. And they told me kind of all what they did. And I remember they listed off like a few things that they help. And one of the things that was like August Chiropractic disease. Do you know what that is? It's kind of like, it happens when you're developing and you put too much strain on your quads. So then the quadricep tendon starts to pull some of the bone attachment off. And it's very painful. And I suffered from that and knew the inherent pain with that. And they were like, oh, yeah, we can help that. And I was like, interesting. And because me knowing the pain I went through and me thinking like, oh, you can help people with that? Because when it happened to me, they were just like, rest. And I was like, okay, no options, nothing to do. And so I went home, typed, chiropractor into Google and looked up what they did. And I was like, oh, this seems pretty cool. I don't have to be behind a desk. And this was after coming off of a job of being a landman in Laredo, where the most human interaction I got each day was either I walked into the courthouse in Laredo, and there was this wonderful lady named Gloria, and I would just be like, hola, Gloria, and she'd be like, hola, Hugo, and that was it. That was all I got for the whole day. And I remember I was just in the books and everything, and I was like, I hate this. I would love to be able to talk to somebody while I work. And that's when, I went and saw these people, looked up the profession, and I was like, oh, I get to help people. I get to study about the human body and like the inherent understandings of that. And then also it's a doctorate position, so I get to have some prestige with my, degree. So it was pretty cool.
Do most chiropractors get their kinesiology degree first?
Most do. It's not necessary. You do have to have a certain amount of prerequisites. One of my good friends, he like fast tracked it. He was just like, I only took what was necessary for the prerequisites, and then I went to chiropractic school. So he started chiropractic school when he was like 20 or 21, and he is a smart kid. It's impressive. Yeah.
Is he in Austin?
He is in the outskirts of Dallas, Sulphur Springs.
I was going to say, let's invite him on the show, but forget about it.
I mean, I'm trying to get him to move down here, so maybe one day.
I have a few people I'm trying to get to move out here, too.
Yeah.
Chiropractor school.
Yeah.
You went.
I went.
Any fun stories?
Plenty.
Tell us.
Oh, gosh. Which part do you want to know?
What literally came to mind first?
Well, there was a lot of... I don't want to say sleeping in class, but it was like we were so tired and burnt out that sometimes we just laid under the desks while the professor is just talking. And the cool part about chiropractic school is they like encourage movement throughout the day. So like a lot of the times you would see people just walk to the back of the room and start doing like squats or stretches or something. And so laying under the desk or the tables was not taboo. But kudos to the professors for not letting it get to their ego. I would say, like, if I was a professor and I'm, like, doing my best to try and teach this group of kids and, like, they're just laying under, staring at the ceiling into oblivion, I would probably not like it too much.
If I was telling you that story about my grandpa and you put your mic down and just got laid down on the floor and went to sleep, I'd probably get that sword and threaten your life.
All right, you have to tell me about this sword.
Oh, I'll go get it.
No way.
Stay here.
Okay. We alluded to the sword before this podcast. What is this thing?
It's a sword.
Wow, it has a handle and a blade. Let's go. Hand this over. Wait. How real is this?
It's not that real.
Oh, okay. I was... I love this. This is so great. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm not going to be able to put it back in. There we go. Woo.
Thank you, sir.
Did you take that out of the safe room? I can only imagine somebody's busting in. You're in the safe room. I was like, I can stand here forever. I've got a painting of wildlife and a sword and a bidet. No one's getting in for a while.
The painting was the abstract.
Then, oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah.
If you don't start memorizing everything that I say and committing it to memory, you're a doctor.
Yeah. Anything that doesn't
Can't you
pertain to the
retain
body.
anything?
Yeah. Anything that doesn't pertain to the body, I just forget. You know.
That's fair. So no, I agree that would be a hit to my ego as a professor. So that's cool that they just. Why were you tired and burnt out from school?
Oh yeah. We took I think the most we took we did trimesters, so it was all year. I think there was one trimester we were taking like 36 hours, and that's 36 hours of class time. That doesn't even include studying or anything like that. There was even 1 2-week period. I think we had like 26 tests in like a 2.5-week period one time. Just because sometimes classes have a lab portion to it, so you can have a test in the class portion and then a test also in the lab portion. And honestly, it was like, you just got so used to tests. There was one time I walked in to a class, and the teacher was handing out pamphlets, and I looked at the person next to me, and I was like, oh, we get handouts today. And my friend looked at me and was like, Hugh, that's the test. And I was like... I was just like, oh, cool.
Did you pass?
I got an 88 on that test. I remember that specifically. I was like, all right, here we go.
That happened to me once in school. I don't remember the grade, but that feeling of walking into a room and not knowing there's an exam is just like,
oh,
I felt not like I don't even know if I can find the word for what that emotion was. Despair.
I actually do not have test anxiety whatsoever. Like, I had to step away from my classmates before tests because they were panicking, and their panic would rub off on me. And so I would just leave the classroom until the test came about. Yeah. It was I would just walk in, and I would walk in like I was coming off the streets, like I just woke up, I was fresh, bushy-tailed and everything, and everybody would be like coked out and on caffeine, and I'd be like, hey, let's take this test.
Do you drink that much caffeine?
No.
Why not?
I don't really have a reason. Yeah.
It's great for you.
I'm
kidding.
No, actually, it's not bad. To an extent, it's pretty healthy for you. It does, it doesn't give you energy. It just covers up your tiredness. So sometimes people are like, oh, yeah, it gives me energy. It's like, really? It's covering up the fact that you are sleep deprived.
I heard there's a doctor of happiness, and I listened to him. He was on a podcast recently, and he was saying that the gym doesn't make you happier. The exercise actually just decreases your levels of stress, anxiety, depression, whatever it may be. And so if you have less of that, you have more room to experience joy, gratitude, happiness, whatever the positive emotion is.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was a fun little tidbit that I committed to memory.
That's really cool. Yeah. Exercise is considered eustress. So EU stress, which is Latin for good stress. There's distress, and then there's eustress. No, I'm not messing with you.
I don't think you are. I believe you. I love this.
Yeah.
Use stress.
Yeah, so technically exercising is a stress on the body, but your body is able to convert that stress into good components. So like people think of the body as like sympathetic and parasympathetic, and like technically exercise in the short term raises cortisol. It's like you are enacting a moment of like fight or flight, right? You are activating your sympathetic nervous system, but in a way that your body can now integrate that and use it to boost your parasympathetics.
What's the sympathetic nervous system?
Oh yeah. Okay. So the easiest way to describe this is sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight. So it's like if you think back into the archaic stages of our time as humans,
Hunter-gatherers.
like hunter-gatherers, it would be like you heard something in the woods and now you need to run, right? And like we do that with exercise. It's like, oh, I'm going to a gym. We do it in, now air-conditioned, wonderfully aesthetic settings, but you're going to get on a treadmill or lift weights and throw rocks and shit. But
I'm the rock thrower.
oh,
That's me. That's my job at the gym.
man, have you seen, this is a little derail this, but like the Instagram pages that are just like guys doing shit, and it's just most of the reels are just guys taking big rocks and throwing into a river and just celebrating the splash.
I haven't seen this meme yet. I'll have to go into your follow page and see who you're following and start following some of those.
There we go.
Yeah.
Don't follow all of them. Some of them are sketchy people.
Uh-oh.
I'm just kidding. Maybe. But yeah, so exercise in the short term is technically, if you like gone for too long, can be bad for you. Yeah, but your body is able then to convert the stimulus that you give your body into positives.
What's the parasympathetic nervous system?
The parasympathetic nervous system is the rest and digest. So when you're trying to calm down, or even when you are trying to focus, you actually need to have your parasympathetics active, or when you're sleeping.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll come back to smart stuff in a bit.
Okay.
All right. So you're in college.
I'm in college.
Any other college stories between anything noteworthy that we should talk about leading up to the point of graduation?
Man, it's so hard to like encapsulate 4 years of your life into just like small moments. There were so many things along the way.
How did you or go with your O thing that you just light bulb moment?
Okay, so I hung around like I was very, very lucky, or I guess people recognized my work ethic or whatnot, to hang around people who were just, of course, smarter than I was, but they like dragged me along on their adventures. And there was this one guy, he was from like backwoods Oklahoma, and his nickname was Stampede, just because literally that's what he does. He
runs.
If he ever comes into a situation, it's like a stampede. Like there was one time we were hunting or whatnot, and he just comes in on a ATV, and he sees some hogs, and while he's on the ATV, pulls out his sidearm and starts firing it in front of the ATV. The coordination is amazing, but at the same time, not the smartest use of your firearm and ATV. Really cool, though.
I think it sounds pretty smart.
It is, yes.
You got hogs, you got ATVs, you got guns. Like, what else is Stampede supposed to do?
That's fair. That's fair. He did earn his namesake. Although one of the biggest dudes, but he had such an element of finesse. So we did a Tough Mudder, and there was a moment during the Tough Mudder where you had to swing on this thing. Actually, it was like over a vat of water, and you like swung on this handle, and it swung like a pendulum, and then you released and try and touch this bell. And he, no joke, swings on this, and this is a big dude, like 6'4", I think he was around 300 pounds, and does a backflip, and while he finishes the backflip, just touches this bell and then falls into the water, and we were just like, that was the most graceful thing any of us have ever seen. He was just he was just talented in that way.
What a guy.
Yep, what a guy.
Did you see yourself becoming less introverted as you went through college and adult life?
I became more introverted, but I guess I'm more considered of an ambivert. So depending on the company that I'm around, I will light up or I guess light down.
Is that what an ambivert it does?
And yeah, an ambivert switches between extrovert and introvert. So I'm not an introvert all the times. It's more like in settings, I will be an extrovert, but I need my recharge time. Yeah.
I have this networking event that I'm going to in a couple weeks, and I'm not very excited for it because I like this. I love sitting across from you and getting to know you and ask you questions, and we're going to pick your brain on chiropractic stuff and some podcasting stuff, and I haven't forgot, even though it's not in my notes. But these networking events, I always feel like it can be a little... I'm not saying the people that attend are shallow. I'm not calling them all shallow people, but it's just like, hey, who are you? What do you do?
Yeah.
What's the name of your company? I'm curious to see what. I haven't really gone to a lot of networking events since COVID.
Yeah.
That is part of the reason I moved here, was to be out in the community more.
Yeah.
But doing stuff like slacklining or hanging out at Zilker, not necessarily businessy type events.
Yeah, like juggling at Zilker. No joke, when I got to Austin, I just went to Zilker, and anything that somebody was participating in, I would just walk up and be like, hey, can you teach me a few things?
You ever slacklined?
Yeah. Slacklining is so much fun. It works muscles you never knew you had.
I've never shaken so much in my life.
Yes.
When I put my foot on that line, wild.
I know. The first time me and my friends slacklined, I think I got 5 feet into the line before I fell off each time. And it frustrated me so much that I was like, I'm going to get decent at this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at right now. I just want to be decent. I have a buddy that will do the ones that are 100 feet up.
Oh, my.
Like at Mopac.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet. He is. And of course, they have the harness on. So I saw him fall. And all you do is you just climb back up and you get going again. But
climbing back up in the middle of a line that has slack in it is still very difficult.
it has slack in it. That's why they call it slack line. No, I knew that. But the way you described it was just, it was so duh.
Yes.
I haven't really put a lot of thought into why it was called slacklining. That's wonderful.
That's why. Because it's not tight roping, it's slacklining.
When you were in school, did you plan on opening your own practice? Or did you think, what was sort of your thought? Did you even think post-college, or was it so just we just got to get through this thing that's right in front of us right now?
I thought eventually I would have my own practice. I did not think it would be expedited so much. And I think the reason it got expedited was just because there is a saying in chiropractic where we eat our young. And yeah, no joke. It's a very common saying. And it's because what happens is when people get out of chiropractic school, it's almost like people think that you have to go through the hazing of chiropractic. And people will be like, oh, you need to earn your stars in chiropractic. So we're not going to pay you well until you've completely destroyed your body while adjusting tons of people and not getting paid for it. Yeah.
When was your very first time snapping someone's neck?
It was snapping someone's neck.
What's the actual term when you do that? Just adjusting their neck?
Adjusting. So, if you want to look up research on it, it's spinal manipulation. Or if you even want to go more specific, it's a grade 5 spinal manipulation. But the first time I ever did it was under the supervision of a doc in Try 2. So about 6 months into my chiropractic, tutelage. And honestly, it was again, as somebody who grew up in sports and is decently athletic, I get the gist of things pretty quickly. And for some reason, I was just not getting this for a while. And I finally got a cervical manipulation or cervical adjustment. And I put my hands in the air for 2 minutes straight. I was just like, yes. And I just walked around, and somebody came in the room who had no idea what was going on, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you probably just got your first neck adjustment." And I was like, "Yes, I did. I am so happy." So it was pretty cool.
Do you know what you did differently to do it right?
No idea. At that time, I have no idea. It literally just happened, and I was like, "Yeah, something changed." Yeah.
For those who don't know, how would you describe what a chiropractor does?
Ooh, so this can go many different directions. Chiropractic is more of a paradigm of how to look at the body. Lots of times, though, chiropractic is associated with the chiropractic adjustment. And the chiropractic adjustment is taking a joint to its end range or to a place where it's not moving well, a plane, and then you adjust through it, which is a really fast impulse. It's not supposed to be really far, so like you're not supposed to move your hand a long ways. It's supposed to be quick and short. So it's called an HVLA, which is a high velocity, low amplitude. The high velocity is the speed. The low amplitude is how far your hand travels. And when you do that, you remove any restrictions that the joint is experiencing, and that has so many anatomical, physiological, and neurologic effects that it is an incredible modality for more things than just pain. Was that pretty good?
That was great. I love the word modality too.
Yeah.
That gave me chills. Modality. That's a great one.
It is a good one. It's there are certain words that I use and certain words I stay away from because they have different connotations, and I'm very cognizant of connotations in my practice because I never want to use a word in a connotative way that induces fear. So I try my best to try and give people a gist of what is happening without fear-mongering or feeling like people are broken. And so,
Gotcha.
yeah.
In that vein, do you think chiropractors have a good, I'm trying to think of how to word this. Do you think chiropractors have a good reputation amongst people
Ooh.
amongst civilians?
Humans.
Well, you're civilians too, but in the marketplace, how about that? Do they have a good reputation in the marketplace?
So our utilization rate, which is how lots of people determine if chiropractors are doing well, is relatively low among the population. And that is due to a few things. If we're looking at how people perceive chiropractors, I would say overall it's negative, which is hard to say about my own profession.
Right.
Only because we understand things that are, we try to use heuristics, and we use other people who are experts to sometimes determine opinions about things that we may not fully understand. And unfortunately, most of the leading allopathic medicine practitioners, which is just Western medicine, are not fans of chiropractic. I usually think that is because we are not part of the hospital kind of arena. Mm-hmm. It's very rare to have a chiropractor in a hospital just because allopathic medicine has not really chosen to utilize chiropractors in the paradigm. I will say some chiropractors out there are insane. And I have no qualms against saying that.
I'm sure that there's probably at least some podcast where they did a mini series on some chiropractor that was just like out there killing people, right?
I don't know, actually. It's actually really hard to kill people as a chiropractor.
Maybe not doing chiropractic things.
Oh gosh. Maybe. I don't know.
Dr. Death came to mind as you said that, but he was not a chiropractor. He was a surgeon.
Yeah.
But so that's who I was sort of paralleling to, is like, I wonder if there's a him or her.
Maybe.
We'll have to do a Google search after this.
I hope, yeah. I think it's so like even me saying that it's like really hard to kill people with chiropractic, or it's even hard to paralyze people with chiropractic. Of course, people look up the worst case scenarios in every single thing.
Right.
And so if you look up the scenarios, of course, there are going to be instances where the worst happened, and those are just going to exist. But if you look up the frequency at which chiropractic is used and how often it happens, it is extremely rare. To an extent that is just astronomical. I wouldn't even say, unless there are underlying factors, you're not going to have mortality effects from chiropractic.
There's a first off, that's very comforting to know.
Yeah.
There's a kid in my gym, and we talk about the podcast a lot, and he asked me who was coming on this week, and I said I'm having a chiropractor on. I didn't say who.
Yeah.
And he said I'm trying to think of how to word this because I don't want to insult you.
Oh, bring it. It's not.
Well, and you know me. You know I'm not. I don't bring people on here just to fucking berate them. You know.
Even if you did.
But his response was, he was like, "Oh, chiropractors. That's a pseudoscience. Like, it's all fake."
Oh, yeah.
And for you, I'm sure that there's one side of things where. Well, let me just ask you this: what would your rebuttal to that be?
Oh, actually, which is really funny. You know where you always try to find a common ground with somebody who is trying to like go against you or whatnot. I would even say chiropractic used to be a pseudoscience. No joke. So when it started, a pseudoscience is something that doesn't actively try to disprove itself. So if you're using, I know, right? That's a word.
It doesn't actively try to disprove itself.
Yes. So that's word gymnastics for you. So with empirical data, a lot of the times you have a hypothesis and you have a null hypothesis. You have to have both. So it's like your hypothesis is something you're doing an experiment and you think something is going to happen. And the null hypothesis is the exact opposite of that. Chiropractors, when we were beginning, because we were trying to establish ourselves in a world that was ruled by the AMA or the American Medical Association, and it had so much power that if anything negative came out about chiropractic and it was from ourselves, probably would have ruined us. So, and I hate saying that because, so for the longest time, they just didn't try to actively disprove themselves. And that makes them be well put in the criteria of pseudoscience. But nowadays, in the last 50, 60 years, that has not been the case. So it's actually a pretty well-researched science. Now, what we're understanding about the body is it's more complex than we even ever understood it to be. There's actually even a really famous study that came out that changed even our idea of functional MRIs on the brain. They threw like a dead fish that had been dead for a while on a functional MRI, and because of the algorithms on the functional MRI, it said that it had brain activity. And because what it's doing is it's taking the hydrogen ion concentrations in the areas of the brain, and it's trying to predict where the neurons are firing, right? Mm-hmm. And that study got very popular and kind of had to change the idea of how they had to write the algorithms for neuronal activity. And then also, like, a lot of the times I even bring up the case, like, we don't fully understand all of the things that we put into medicine, but sometimes the solution is better than the alternative. Like, I think it was 2020 when we finally understood at a molecular level what anesthesia did. And if you think about that nowadays,
that's wild,
right? Because if you think about this, like, I told my friend this, and he was like, yeah, well, it was better than the alternative. And I was like, you're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. Like, the alternative is you just have to grit your teeth, bite down on something while they go into surgery.
Yeah, put a little stick in your mouth.
Yeah. So sometimes we kind of need to trust the outcomes rather than what is actually been proven, or actually you can't even say proven in research. You just say what is supported by research. And so chiropractic is one of those things that the results kind of speak for itself.
I like that. That's a good rebuttal.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things you said in the other podcast is that you're constantly assessing people
Yeah.
and you can't turn it off.
Yes.
What have you assessed about me? I couldn't think of a better way to ask that question. But I was like, I wonder, well, and because I do have like we've been looking at each other for 90 minutes, not 90, 70 minutes. Got him.
Man, okay. Well, I'm also in like your place of establishment. So, are those TINS unit pads underneath your desk?
I haven't used those in a while, but
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I noticed those earlier, and then of course,
I forgot about those until just right now.
You're welcome.
I need to put that. How embarrassing that I just got
No.
TINS units flailing about. It's inappropriate.
All right. This is great. This is gonna be fantastic. So you had what'd you call it? The back, right? What?
Yeah. So this is a better back.
Better back.
A better back. And for the audience, it's come up on the show a few times, but I don't know if we've ever actually like shown the camera. So this part, which is the pillow.
The Vanna White hand.
Thank you.
Yeah, better back.
And you're wearing white.
Oh, yes. Oh. Did she always wear white?
I don't know. As soon as I said that, I thought, why did I say that? It was just her last name. But so yeah, the pillow goes on your back and then the straps go around your legs and you pull it tight and you're supposed to wear it 3 times a day for 15 minutes. And the idea is that you'll naturally, it's supposed to help train you to have naturally better posture and then to just sit like that all the time with your legs in the L position, back up straight. I'll sometimes wear it for more just because the pillow's so darn comfortable. I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
I'll wear it for an hour.
So yeah, what it's doing is it's using an external support to keep your back from going into a kyphosis, or I guess into flexion. I have this thing about posture. It's grossly misunderstood.
Really?
Oh yeah.
What's misunderstood about posture?
So the whole idea about posture is that you're supposed to be in this specific position as long as you can, right? Like there is a perfect posture.
Mm-hmm.
There is no perfect posture. And so they've started to change this, but of course, it's really hard to change the perceptions of the public. Like we're even having a hard time changing the perceptions of the public with icing, but that's a whole nother story.
like on a cake?
No, on like joints and stuff.
Kidding.
But yes, icing on a cake. You
Trying to change the public's perception
Be
on
weary.
icing.
No, so like posture, the easiest way I can describe it is you're supposed to have postural capacity. That is the word that I like to use. You're supposed to be able to get in to as many postures as possible, and comfortably. So the reason standing desks got so popular and why they're considered healthier is not because you're standing. It's because they found that people shifted positions more often when they were standing.
Like what foot was getting more weight, or
Or they
distributing those.
leaned, or and they changed whatever position they were in. And so, posture, there is definitely a more ergonomic position that your body can be in for longer periods of time. But overall, the whole idea about posture in itself is you should, like, if somebody slouches and they don't have the ability to stand straight, that is a posture problem. That's a postural capacity problem. But if they're slouching and you say stand up straight and they're like, oh, okay, and they do, and it's really easy for them, then they don't have a posture problem.
So for someone like me, I have low back pain. It's super rare. No one has it.
I couldn't tell by your, what's it called, back right?
My better back.
Better back.
Yeah, I have low back pain. It sucks. I was working at a gym for 11 years, so I was basically always standing unless I was in class. That's what I did through school. And then I graduated school, got a job as an accountant where you get to work 80 hours a week, which is wonderful, and you're sitting the whole time. So I went from spending most of my time standing to a significant amount of time sitting. And somewhere in there I got low back pain. And I should have litigated, but I didn't.
Okay, so this is beautiful. So you going from standing all the time to going from sitting all the time it would be the same on your low back or as if you went from not being a runner to being a runner, and you like went really long distances in a short amount of time. So you overloaded the tissues because they weren't trained to sit all the time.
So anytime anyone, regardless of the activity, if you drastically change
Yep.
what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
You're probably going to see
You're probably going to see
some
either
pain.
your body has the capacity to adapt, or it will get a little inflamed and you will be in pain.
Why'd you ask about the TIMS unit?
Because you were asking how much I was observing you. So, also you can tell a lot about people when you hug them, and so it's like you've got pretty good developed back. So you seem to work out decently amount. Like yeah,
Oh, you're talking about my muscles. I thought you were going to say like the way. No, like when you said you could tell a lot about someone by the way you hug them. So when I open that front door, there's about. I've never talked about this before. I think about it a lot. There's this 1 second interaction where I have to make a decision. What David wants to do with 100% of the guests that show up is to give them a big hug.
Yeah.
I love hugging people.
Yeah.
I don't get enough myself.
Yeah.
I'll take all the hugs I can get.
Oh yeah.
And there have definitely been some guests, and if any guests have listened to all of these episodes, you know who you are because I didn't give you a hug. But there have been a couple guests where I opened that door, and in that split second, something in my gut says, "This is a handshake person."
Oh, I can see that. You can see it easily by almost how rigid they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I thought you were gonna say the fact that we gave each other a hug, you felt welcomed, or
Oh,
that's where I
absolutely.
thought you were going with it. So
Oh, I
then
could
when
do
you
that
were
too.
like, you work out all the time, I'm like, fuck yeah, I do. I'll take the compliment, but also not what I thought you were gonna say. Is all.
Yeah. So I could tell because you were waiting there for that split second for like an anticipatory moment, I guess I would say, and I was like, oh, he wants a hug. I would love a hug.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you another one when you go.
I would love that. You want to know the weird part about the whole hugging thing? Is now don't quote me because I haven't this is definitely what of it? I'm a secondary source of information here, but I heard that the study that hugging release oxytocin and like elevates your mood, the hugs need to be like over 20 seconds. Have you ever hugged anybody for 20 seconds? It's a long time.
Yes, I have.
I love how hard you had to think to get there. It's like there was this one time.
Well, I was watching the timer for 20 seconds. No, I wasn't.
Yeah.
20
seconds.
Do you think we'd lose people in the audience if we just did 20 seconds of silence to give so everyone could see how long it is?
No.
I could play the theme music for 20 seconds. Should we do that? Or should it be silence? Silence would be more awkward.
Silence would be more awkward.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. There it is. That's a long hug.
That's a long hug.
This is fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm going to get 2 shirts made, one for me, one for you. And it's going to say, it's just going to be like, what's your favorite color for clothing? White, I'm going to guess?
Yeah. White, blue, I don't know. Anything? I will not say anything.
It's going to be neon green. And then there's going to be a black box on the front. And in the box, it's going to say, I might hug you for 20 seconds. So they're warned.
The might is what kills me there. It's like, I might not. Oh, man. It's like a threat. It's like, I might hug you.
Well, or like for those rigid people,
Oh, yeah.
and they're noticing that like, why is Hugh hugging everyone but me?
Yeah. And it's like, well, because you need to loosen up, buddy.
Right.
Yeah.
Come to the office. Come to August Chiropractic.
So,
That's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
it's
yeah.
like, did I
No,
get
you
the
got it
wrong
right.
month?
No,
Come to December Chiropractic.
The hugging thing reminds me. So I'm a big hugger. Which is so funny because my family is not really. And I got to chiropractic school, and like, everyone in chiropractic school is pretty touchy-feely, right? Because we touch people for a living, or at least we're going into a profession where we're going to touch people for a living. And I hugged my good friend who lives in Sulphur Springs. His name is Talon. And I hugged him, and he says to this day, he was like, I wasn't a big hugger. And I thought, you came up and you just hugged me, and I was like about to punch you in the face. And I was like, but now I converted you. And he's like, you converted me.
Aw, good for you, Talon.
I know.
I remember one time I hadn't seen my buddy Steven in the gym for a long time. Not even that long, like a couple of months. And I don't do as much hugging in the gym.
Why not?
I don't know.
Sweaty hugs?
Yeah. But I saw him walk through those front doors, and I walked up to him, and I knew I was going to hug him. And he goes to put his fist out, and I just walked right past it.
You should
and
have
just
slapped it.
I gave him just a giant hug, and while I'm hugging him, I may have held that one for 20 seconds. He's like, oh, okay. We're doing a hug today. All right.
Yeah.
And before I released it, I was like, dude, I missed you. Where have you been?
Where have you been?
My swole mate was gone.
Did you start singing Celine Dion? Yeah. No? Wherever you are?
Sounds like Josh Groban. Oh, the Titanic song. Wherever you are. Yeah, I'm a great singer. If you can tell based off that, I sing on the side when I'm not podcasting or recruiting. My heart will.
Honestly,
go
if I sound like Josh
on.
Groban, that's amazing.
You did. He's very serenading.
I love that, yeah.
To get us back on track,
No.
I felt like you were going to relate to something between the fact that I work out and the fact that I have low back pain. Were you going somewhere with that?
No. Actually, the opposite. If you work out, you're less likely to have back pain. What is it? The biggest factor in you not having or you not hurting your back. Back pain is kind of an enigma. Like you can technically not have a hurt back but still have back pain. It's kind of weird. But the biggest factor in you not hurting your back is just you having a strong back. So like when it comes to lifting form, absolutely. Sometimes, are we playing Celine Dion here?
No, I am listening to you. I'm a great listener, but I'm pulling something up that I want to show you because I want to ask your opinion on it.
Oh, yeah. If you have low back pain, sometimes it might just be the fact that, see, I would love to have a whole encompassing answer on this. It would just take so long to go through all of it. So if you're looking for a really reductionist answer, it's an amalgamation. Here we go. Here's the big word.
Here's the modality.
I always say coordination. So it's how well your body knows how to move your back, and because there's something called cortical smudging that happens if our brain cannot see the area of the back, or if it even gets hurt. So the way that you can think of cortical smudging is your brain has a map of the back and how it moves and how it's going to plan out each movement. And then if it gets hurt or if something stops working, that map is now smudged. And so it almost is working with an area with fog of war, Mm-hmm. And so it almost has to guess how to move. And that guessing can then be translated into fear. And then that fear is translated into pain.
My map is smudged up.
I bet it is.
Because I'm in pain and I'm afraid. This thing's smudgy.
Yeah. So with my schooling experience, I was very lucky. I got contacted by one of my good friends who was a physical therapist, and I went to school, my undergrad, kinesiology, University of Houston, and some of my best friends became really good physical therapists. And while they were going through school at the same time as me, one of them contacted me and said, hey, she started asking me questions out of nowhere about chiropractic, and almost like the skeptical questions, like, are you a quack? And she's like trying to poke the bear, being like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this?
My friend at the gym.
Yeah, kind of. And I answered all the questions, and then she goes, oh, my professor wants to invite you to his seminar on pain. And I was like, cool. And he goes, yeah, it's completely free for you. He just realized that your answers were really amazing, and he would love to meet you. And I go to this seminar, and it's an incredible seminar about how to understand pain in a better way. And one of the things that is the easiest to take away from it is we got some live patients while we were there. And there was this one lady who had pain when she turned her head to the left, right? And just pain, and like it was pretty severe. And then what he did is he put her in like a little swivel chair, and he said, all right, I want you to stay looking straight ahead. And he turned the swivel chair to the right, to where her head was still turning to the left, but it was her body turning to the right that created that. And she had no pain. So the idea was her brain had associated turning to the left with pain. It wasn't necessarily that something was still injured. And so that was like a really, a catalyst in my understanding of how sometimes our brain can associate a movement with pain, or it can associate a position with pain, and which we've now understood. It used to be called the biopsychosocial model. So you have like the biology of your body, the psychology of what's going around you, and then your social environment can also influence your pain. Now that model has even been expanded. It's like, like it used to be like a Venn diagram, but now it's just like a ton of Venn diagrams all put together, because we're finding out that there are so many different factors that play into your pain that it's complicated, it's nuanced, it's an enigma. And when you really want somebody to fix your pain, that means you have to be willing to listen and understand and try to take in as many factors as you can to combat as many of those factors as possible.
How do our social settings increase or decrease our pain? And let's just leave it at that for a moment.
Okay. So like, if we are social creatures, evolutionarily, our brain develops a lot of its, I guess, capacities to factor in a lot of the social environment. So if you're not getting good social stimuli, then a lot of things happens. Like say you're depressed. Depression can actually be translated into physical pain. And the way that they found this out was a really crazy study where people who had depression took ibuprofen. And of course, there are more powerful ways of affecting your depression, but even taking ibuprofen affected their depression. It lowered their depression levels. So even pain in the body can be a component of your depression. And so the opposite can be true as well. Your depression can be a component in your physical pain. So that's how our social environment can play into our mood, and our mood can then play into our mental state, and our mental state then can play a role in our pain perception.
When I moved here, I didn't know anybody. I knew 0 people in Austin. And so I set a goal for myself to meet a person a day, and then I would put them in this note on my phone, and I'd put something about them. So like if I had met you, I would have put like, Hugh looks younger than 29 and he's really smart. That would have been your note.
You're only saying that because I'm in front of you now. I would love to read what the real note was.
I actually, not everyone made it in the note. For some reason, some people I just know are committed to memory immediately.
Yeah.
You didn't make it in the note. You also were, though, my first Hugh that I've met. So maybe that's why we exchanged numbers. That's probably why you never got in the note.
That's fair. I mean,
you got even better. You got in the phone.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm special.
But I don't do it as actively anymore because now the places I go to, I know so many people. It's almost like, can I unknow some of these people? You know, I'm kidding.
Oh, man.
But no, I counted the other day because for some reason, my day job, they chose me to give a presentation on wellness. And I wanted to bring this up. And so I wanted to see how many people are in the note. And there's 103 currently, but I've added a few. And I don't think I put a single person on the podcast in the note because I just know who they are. After you talk with someone for 2 hours, it's fucking cemented in
You
there.
would hope so.
Yeah.
Man, remember that podcast with that guy? Who is that guy?
Yeah, who was that?
Yeah. He's
White shirt, looked young.
non-memorable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just bring that up to say that I know that I don't do good when I'm lonely. And so I knew I need to be, I have one of three routes to take. I can do nothing about this loneliness, potential loneliness. I can be passive about it, or I can be very aggressive with it and say, if I leave that front door, I'm meeting someone new.
That's
and,
cool.
And that was my goal. And I've noticed that I feel like I formed some really good friendships that I didn't like, more stronger than ones I had back in my hometown, even though I've only been in Austin a little over a year.
Yeah.
And I've just met some super quality people. And I wondered, like, in my old environment, who did I not meet? Because I was allowing myself to maybe be comfortable with my circle of friends. Not to say they were a bad circle or anything like that, but I've just noticed I've been a lot happier in Austin. Granted, there is the podcast. Plus, Austin is a pretty dope city with a lot of really healthy people and like-minded individuals like yourself. And so I think it's a mix of a couple factors, but I did think it was interesting that you brought up social specifically.
Yes. Also, that's really cool that you were very intentional about reaching out and finding people. Because, like you said, it's easy to get comfortable in situations, and comfort is the enemy of growth.
I like that. That was a good one-liner.
Hey, thank you.
You're welcome. So pain. Oh,
Let's bring it. I'm ready.
I asked all of them already.
Damn it.
Well, I didn't necessarily want to move off the chiropractic thing. I think it's related, but maybe not. You mentioned to me the first time we met that you want to do more public speaking.
Oh, yeah.
Are you hoping to be leading like seminars and stuff one day?
Oh, absolutely. So I, again, I love my job. There is an expiration date on my job somewhere, just because my job is very physical, and like there are chiropractors out there who practice like deep into their 80s. It's just maybe I don't want that in my life. My school, my alma mater, Parker University. Randomly, the president one time we were in Las Vegas helping present a lot of different research, and he just saw how I was interacting with the individuals, like showing them the research, presenting, and all of this stuff. And he just came up to me and he goes, Hugh, do you want to MC? And I actually didn't hear him the first time, but he's the president of the university. So I just said, oh, yeah, sure. And he goes, okay, we'll get you in front of some people so we can get you in an MC position. And I then realized what he said. I was like, oh, MC, like master of ceremonies, right? And then I still remember this. They flew me into Florida the first time. And again, it was quite the surreal experience, because I was put in front of all of these amazing individuals who have amazing careers, this huge pool of knowledge in their specific fields. And I got to introduce them. I got to meet them. And when I was talking to the other MCs there, they were like, oh, how was your interview process and your audition process? And I was like, there was auditions? And they looked at me and they were like, who are you? Like, what how are you here? And I was
I'm
like,
Hugh Hunger, bitch.
and no joke, I looked at them and I was like, oh, the president invited me. The president of the university invited me. And they were just like, now that just doesn't answer the question. Who are you? And I was like, exactly. I'm some mysterious human being. But the first time I emceed, I was so nervous. I was so happy that I was wearing a suit, because I almost even sweat through the suit. But now I've been doing it for a while, and I absolutely love it. I love being in front of people. I love being able to public speak. I love being able to effectively disseminate my ideas and thoughts. And I started listening to a lot of public speakers, and I realized that, like, if I can affect the population by sharing what knowledge I think is going to be effective in helping them in some way, then I should use this skill. And a lot of my colleagues and friends have even come to me and be like, Hugh, you do amazing at this. Why don't you pursue this more? And I am trying my best. I don't know. I just haven't taken the leap, only because what I do, I like to be really good at right when I come out of the gates. And I don't think that's the case when you're public speaking. I think you have to be able to fail and look like an idiot for a bit. Yeah.
You're not doing that here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think you'd be great at it. You'd be a natural. I know exactly why he invited you.
Oh, yeah?
You just have some it factor about you.
I love that. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Is there any one particular speaker that you study, or are you constantly watching like different ones?
So if we're looking at podcasts, I think I looked at quite a few. Of course, Joe Rogan, even though he's like excessively famous, but I tried to understand.
As am I.
As are you. You'll get there. You're both bald.
I got a better beard and I'm taller.
You do have a better beard. He does a really good job of interviewing, just because he's an incredible a segue machine. So he's like knows how to get them to the next step in their thought process. So I noticed that about him. I know he's a polarizing individual, but I love the way that Jordan Peterson speaks. He is effectively at taking a mental image and putting it into words. And he does it with, like, he does use big words, but it's almost in a way that is challenging you to think deeper. And then there's Sam Harris, who is an incredible, I guess he's an incredible philosopher as well. And other speakers, oh man, I don't know if I have any on the top of my head, but I do try to constantly develop the ability to communicate, because do you know who Ask Vin is?
No.
He's also
Ask Jeeves?
Close enough. It's actually really interesting. He was in the corporate world, and then he became a magician, and then he started teaching magicians how to public speak and presentate, and then he just started teaching people how to public speak. And he is incredible about pulling out the nuances in public speaking, almost to like changing your meter, changing your voice dynamic, and he brings all of this out. It's really cool. You should look at him.
I'll look him up.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I have a couple. I have like 5, 6, 7, 8 podcasts that I'd love to see. I won't go through them and what they bring, but similar to how you were describing how Sam was a little different from Jordan, who's a little different from Joe. I have a couple people where there's a way they conduct themselves, and it fascinates me, and I want to be like them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what were you thinking just now?
Oh no, I already know where you're gonna go with this.
No, you don't.
Okay, you go.
Did you look at my notes?
No.
What's down there?
What is down there?
Oh, I don't even care about. We might not even get to that question. You decrease people's pain for a living.
Yes.
How does that make you feel?
Man, like I have to put on this face of professionalism, because I know it's about them, but there's so many times where people come in and they're like, I don't feel this pain anymore, and you like inside I'm really proud of what I do. And it's almost like sometimes, like one lady came in and she was like, hey, I know I didn't tell you this, but I couldn't pick up my child. And like her child's like 2 or 3 years old. And I'm like, I didn't know that you were being affected that way. And she's like, no, you don't realize it. Like now my child looks at me and knows that I can pick her up. And it's a wonderful thing that I just get to hold my child with no back pain. And like that experience is something that I get to do so often. I get to do it with headaches. I get to do it with neck pain. I even get to do it on the other side of pain. So I always say it's like there's pathology and performance. So pathology is like things that are wrong with the body. And then there's performance-wise, where people are trying to achieve their goals. So I get to treat their pathologies, their pain, and then I also get to help them excel. And it's so cool when you get to see both sides of that in one profession.
Yeah, anything about your work ever made you cry?
Yes, I almost cried. What's today? Wednesday.
Why?
Actually, the lady came in with the opposite story. She said that her 3-year-old looks up at her and says, Mom, like not in like a bad way, but it's like, Mom, oh yeah, you can't pick me up because of you hurt, like, and like puts her hand on her back, on her own back, and like mimics the mom like not being able to bend over and pick her up, and like the way that she just told the story, I was just like, okay, well, I don't want you to have to deal with that, and like it was just such a sincere moment that I was like holding back tears the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is from where you sit
Mm-hmm.
and what you've studied and the clients that you've seen, is there any one like problem that really just seems to be dominant amongst your clients? Well, and it doesn't necessarily, I'm not looking for an answer like back pain, foot pain, inability to pick up my child. It could even be something like we're just not moving enough, or we're, like, I don't know.
Oh yeah. So are you talking about like things that people can implement, or?
No. What's our biggest problem right now? Like, what's the biggest cause of pain?
I think. Oh man, if you're wondering what I think is the biggest problem of pain in the Western society, is that we have lowered our standard for our activity. Because we think going to a gym for 1 hour a day is going to reverse sitting in one position for 8 hours a day. And like what really our bodies are designed to do are be movement. Movement is supposed to be a very large component of our lives, to the point where our brain, even, I always say this is like, think of it as like the spine, or moving your body is almost like an extra engine for you to be able to power the brain. And your brain controls everything in your body. And so if you take away movement, your brain can still function, but that also means that it has to triage what it's going to allocate the leftover power to. And sometimes it's like, oh, well, we don't have enough power to keep this functioning, so we're just going to keep that out. And the main problem that we have is our standards drop so much because we don't want to be that awkward individual in the office. That's what I have found is like, you don't want to be that person that looks at somebody and is like, oh, I've been sitting down for 50 minutes. I'm gonna like stand up and stretch or get on the floor and do some movements, because it's taboo. And what it shouldn't be, it shouldn't be taboo to be like, hey, I'm gonna swing my leg back and forth because my legs are tight, right? But if you do that, people will look at you, and it's almost like the mob says, nay. Yeah.
And we like to listen to the mob.
It's very...
And the mob isn't even speaking.
That's fair. It's just looking.
Yep.
It's very powerful. Again, social influences.
It's interesting too because I'm a little better than the person that you described. I wake up after coffee, we go for a walk. It lasts 25 to 30 minutes. Come back, sit for 8 hours. To your point, I do have a standing desk, so I do get up and I move around and I sit in all these crazy, funky positions.
Yeah.
But then I do go to the gym. My workouts are a little bit closer to 90 minutes, so I move in and doing that. And then I drive back home, and we go for another 25 to 30-minute walk. And then I shower, I cook, and then we sit down in that chair, and we're doing more sitting. At least that one reclines. We recline it all the way, and he crawls up and puts his head on my belly and starts snoring. It's the cutest, best part of my day.
And then your dog law, and you can't move until he moves. And
exactly. Yeah. And so and then I have this. What are we doing? We're doing more sitting. So you can't. It's such a funny structure, to your point about how we're supposed to be moving more, because it's like, win, buddy.
Yep.
No, I'm
I
not saying you're wrong. I mean, I agree with you 100%, but like, I got to make money.
No, so I agree with this. And it is a constant battle, just because, like you said, your job is mostly sitting or standing at a desk. And so you're kind of landlocked, right? The body also works kind of on a momentum basis. So if most of your life, again, like you said, you wake up and you walk for 25 minutes, right? that's huge just in itself. Like, you're getting activity in your day, you're getting the blood pumping, you're getting your nervous system activated before you even do anything throughout the day. The only thing that I would say that you would have to add, because we're working within the confines of your profession, is movement snacks. So they don't have to be long. Usually I say every 50 minutes, move just a little bit. But I do understand when people are in certain positions at their job that a certain element of focus is necessary. And this is when I'm going to start bringing in some of the neurology is there are something called ultradian rhythms that we have. And they're usually 60 to 90 minutes. And we can actually activate them ourselves just by, I'm going to focus right now. But we only get about 2 or 3 a day. And so they're periods of time where your brain can focus intensely. So if we think that we're going to be able to work for 8 hours a time with extreme focus, it's just not possible. So what you should do is you should have a 60 to 90 minute timer, focus really damn hard, and then have it actually works to your benefit after that 90 minutes to go for a 10-minute walk where you're not looking at screens, you're trying to look at the horizon. Your brain will actually process what you did and almost reset so you can start another ultradian rhythm. Because it's kind of like, do you ever have, on the newer cars are coming out where if you turn on cruise, it will notice how attentive you are?
Oh,
Yeah.
how?
It practically just does it based on how long the cruise has been on.
Gotcha.
And so it knows that there is an amount of time where your attention drops. Same thing happens with your work. If you're trying to like power through and focus, you're going to have diminishing returns on your ability to perform. And so if you mix in movement, you're actually going to exponentially increase your ability to perform while still getting those movement snacks. Right?
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that next week. We'll see how it goes.
Try it, and like what I tell people is like find what works best for you. Not everybody's the same. There are people who can get 3 to 4 ultradian rhythms a day, and those are impressive people because I'm exhausted after 3.
I get at least 1 when I podcast.
It's fair.
Yeah. So I don't know if I get any more, but I get 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there's stereotypes about everything, right?
Yeah.
So people might see Jack chiropractor and automatically assume these like 5, 6, 7, 8 things about you. Wow. What's something that you think that you don't think many people know about you that you'd like them to know?
I am really nerdy.
How so?
I like spending my extra time, days, either indulging in reading sci-fi or like some philosophy, which I haven't done in a while, or I literally will read articles and books in my spare time, and I have found that is not the norm. So, yeah.
Do you not like to tell people that?
No, I'm fine with telling people that. It's just I thought it was normal for a while. And I was just like, oh, yeah, I read philosophy, and all this stuff. And people were like, that's really weird. They thought I was trying to be pompous, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
One of my past guests grew up in a sex cult, so she didn't know that your uncle having sex with you at 12 wasn't normal.
That
I might clip that out.
I don't have a response.
No, Olivia's story is awesome. If you haven't watched it yet, it's beautiful. It's one of my favorites. I know you shouldn't choose favorites, but it's too good of a story to not hear the full thing from start to finish and just be like, I am happy for you.
I'm happy that you are no longer.
She's now a psychologist here in Austin, and
Wow.
her ideal client is people who are trying to get on the other side of their own trauma, whatever that may be.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason I asked you about if you don't like to admit that to people is because before we started recording, I was curious, like, what does a chiropractor do in his free time? And I asked you what you do for fun, and do you remember your response?
What was my response?
You got up and started walking over here and said, "Let's start recording." And I was like, he really didn't want to answer that question. Why? He literally stood up from the couch and darted over here. And we're like, all right, big red button that says REC, let's go. It's like he asked, you reacted like I asked you what your favorite sexual position was or something.
Oh, I'd probably answer that one easier. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think it's a hard question to answer because I like doing so many things. Like I also like dancing. I also like playing guitar. I like getting outside, and so
What kind of dancing?
usually two-step. But
Wow.
yeah, but I have recently been thinking about getting into bachata.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck. Oh, before we segue, I was going to ask you a practical question. One thing I like to do every day when I go to the gym, and I need to do it at the end of my workout for it to be the most effective. And I'm curious if you'll have any 2 cents as to why. But you know those low back extension benches that sit at a 90-degree angle, and you put your feet in them, and then you lean over and you do
Oh, they're called. Oh man, what are they called? The hyper something.
hyperextended? Is it just hyperextensions?
I think maybe yeah. It is hyper extensions, but usually the machine is called something.
So I'll put my feet in it, and I will just let my body fall over that thing, and I just hang.
Yeah.
And in my low back, I feel every time pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
It feels so good.
Oh yeah.
Is that good for me?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know why it would be bad.
I've heard some people say like you shouldn't snap your own neck or like you shouldn't.
Ooh. Okay. We can go into that.
All right, let's go into that.
Oh man. That's,
Well, first off, I love it how you light up about these things. One thing I want to admit to you, I'm sort of scared to. I can crack the right side. Similar to that lady, I never crack left. So I can only.
Oh.
I will not force because it and like this side can turn all that way without any pain at all and no reservations. This side stops about here.
Huh.
Yeah, weird, huh?
Yeah, that's what we call a movement restriction. You should come in and see me.
Okay, I will.
There we go.
All right, so why'd you get so excited to talk about should you or should you not snap your own neck?
Okay, so self-manipulation is gonna, a lot of chiropractors, the old guard. So we call them the old guard, or even people who have been influenced by the old guard. So these are people who are older in the profession, so they haven't kept up with the newer research. And that happens all the time. So in almost every single field, what they'll find is the people who are most in line with the current research are the people who just graduated. It's because they just came out, they have the most research, they have professors who are dedicated to looking all of that stuff up and who are actively disseminating that information. When you get out into practice, you also have to deal with the responsibilities of practice, which are quite large. But so in the chiropractic profession, there is this ideology that you shouldn't pop yourself. And even it goes so far that like one of my friends, I'll sit there and I'll move my neck and it'll pop and he'll be like, you shouldn't do that. And I'll look at him and I'll be like, what do you mean move my body through its normal ranges of motion?
Idiot.
And he like, you can tell he like cringes inside a little bit, but we have a good relationship because we have different opinions, but we can discuss them. But popping is not really the therapy. The therapy is the removal of the restriction. The popping is just secondary. And the reason that chiropractors, including myself, use popping is because it's ASMR or whatever, and it's catchy, right? But popping yourself, unless you're really torquing it a lot, is okay. The problem is you don't think you're popping what you're popping. So like, think of it as if you have, oh man, bubble wrap, right? Okay. So think if the places that it's not really the places that you grab that pop, it's the places that you twist, right? And usually it pops right in the middle where there's the most tension and torque. The same thing happens with your joints. So say you're going to pop your neck, but what's really locked up is like right at the base or at the base or even at the top. if you torque your neck, what's really popping are the hypermobile segments in the middle, and you're getting relief because there is a localized release of endorphins called enkephalin, and you get temporary relief from the pain that you're experiencing, which is why you get addicted to doing it. And so when people ask me, they're like, should I be popping myself? My usual answer is, how often are you doing it?
3 times a day.
That's fine.
Sweet.
Yeah. So again, unless you're torquing yourself too far, but like 3 times a day, that's you just like kind of releasing any restrictions that you have on your own. So like there's a lot of mobility stuff that uses external things to, and then if you get a incidental pop, it's perfectly fine.
Okay.
The problem comes when people start popping themselves as a tick. So like when you pop your knuckles, it's not bad. It starts becoming bad when you start doing it every hour on the hour or multiple times an hour. Because what you're doing is you're slowly adding extra stretch to the ligaments. And then what has to make up for that lack of tension in the ligaments is the muscles. And the muscles aren't designed to always be active, and then they get tight, and then you get tension, and that tension is then converted into pain.
You know what I'm going to do tomorrow?
What?
I'm going to get a sticky note, and I'm going to make a tally mark every time I have the instinct to go pop my neck.
That is actually the best way to start tracking and changing behaviors.
I might not do it forever, but maybe for like 2, 3, 4 days. Because now I told you 3 times. And so when you're tracking it, one thing that'll be good is I'll also have the urge to stop. So I'm not going to track how many times I actually do it. I'm going to track how many times does that hand go up.
Correct.
Yeah. Why does that work so well? Do you know?
Because awareness is one of the most powerful indicators of us to be able to change our behaviors. You first have to be aware of something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a crazy thing yesterday when getting ready for today. I found myself, I was usually when I'm getting ready to meet a guest, I go through every single one of their posts on their social media, depending on how many is there. I had a lady with like 1,300 last week. I did not go through all those. I was like, I can't. I don't have a day to dedicate to reading the story of your life. So I sort of went through chunks. Anyways, whenever your first neck poppin' video showed up, I went out of looking at the individual page and I looked for the next one and I watched that one. And then I looked for the next one and I watched that one. And then I found the next one and I watched that one. I literally spent like 11 minutes of just watching you pop people's necks. Because to your point, there was some like weird ASMR thing to it where I was like, and I was sitting there thinking, why am I getting so much satisfaction out of this?
Correct.
Why? Just the noise, or how happy they are afterwards?
I mean, as somebody who actively, I love it. Like, it's an amazing feeling because it's almost like relief is on the way.
Yeah,
and you're like, yes, it's so great.
It's wonderful.
It is wonderful. I have no idea why it's so sensational. Maybe it's just deeply ingrained into our...
Comment on the YouTube video if you're watching on YouTube today and tell us why you think this is so sensational, or whatever the word would be.
Yes, I like sensation. Sensational.
Modality.
Amalgamation.
Oh, you said another one that I like. It started with a D.
Ooh, disseminate?
Yeah.
No.
That's a good one. How'd you know?
I just know these things.
I feel like I could talk about chiropractic with you for forever, but I want to be respectful of your time, and I have one more topic I want to talk to you about. I don't know how long it's going to take.
Let's go.
So as I was going through your social media, I saw that you had a couple of posts where you had this really nice mic and these headphones on. I'm like, is this guy a podcaster or something? So then I looked up your name on Spotify, and I found you on Get Gains or Go to Hell or whatever it is. What's it actually called?
Grow or Die.
Grow or Die. Go watch. So but I could not find you.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked on YouTube as well. Like, let's put this guy's name on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Are you thinking about starting a podcast?
I would love to start a podcast.
About?
That's the problem.
So here's one idea. I heard a statistic that of all podcasts, 90% don't publish past episode 3.
Yeah.
And of those, the 10% remaining, 90 of those don't publish past episode 20.
Wow.
So when I started, I made myself a promise because I was in the same boat as you. That I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So I'd made myself a promise that I would do 21 episodes. And if I got into that upper echelon of podcasts and I had some of the questions answered, such as who's my ideal guest, who's the target audience, what are we going to talk about, what's the main themes of the show,
Yeah.
I would keep going.
Huh.
We're now at episode 52.
Wow.
So it worked.
How are you liking?
I love it.
Yeah.
It's so much fun, dude. I got to have Hugh Hunger over tonight to talk about chiropractic and pseudosciences, and
Yeah.
I in all seriousness, I love it.
Oh yeah.
My perspective has changed on some things. I've got to meet some really cool people, and I think too at the end of the day, so I have two sticky notes on my mirror that I think are probably the main drivers of why I keep going. I heard Alex Cooper. She did an interview. Do you know who that is?
No.
Irrelevant. She got interviewed about her show that no one has heard of, and she's the most highly listened to female podcast.
Is that Call Me?
Call Me Daddy?
Oh, it is.
Yeah. So yeah, I've heard of her.
Okay.
She gave an interview once, and she said that it took her a couple months to realize that her number one metric needed to be, are you having fun?
Oh.
And so I've been sticking it on my mirror saying that your number one metric is, are you having fun?
Oh, that's really cool.
It's not how many guests do you have, how many episodes do you have, how many views did you get, how many downloads did you get. All of that crap is noise. It's noise to take me off the goal, which is, am I having fun? There's a
good metric.
It's a good metric. So I would say take that one for you too.
Yeah, I will. I think the problem is, right, like my number 2 metric would be how much value I can bring per word to a podcast.
What?
Like how much value I can bring to people. You know?
That's a good one.
Yeah, but that's the problem. I think that's the main one that holds me back, is because I have topics and ideas and knowledge that I can share, but then I think I'm a certain type of perfectionist. I'm a completionist, and so I have to have the end idea thought of before I even start, which is a terrible crutch.
You don't need that.
I know. I've been getting over it. It's terrible.
So I thought I needed that too. And there is one particular episode where it was episode number 11, I think. And a guy was telling me about how when he was 14 and he was getting bullied for being overweight, and he was having suicidal thoughts, and it came up again and again in like 2 or 3 episodes. In the first 20, it came up 3 times, I think. And so at some point I Googled, how often does someone take their own life? Do you have any idea what the number is? Would you care to guess?
No, I don't know.
Every 10.9 minutes.
No way.
So since you and me have been talking, we've lost roughly 20 people to suicide.
That's so sad.
So my goal is that one day I'm going to get an email from someone, and it's going to be to the effect of, Dear David, we, sorry. We listened to, your episode with Hugh and thought I was in a super dark place. And after seeing, how he went through his own childhood with his mother and then went through chiropractic school and is now running his own practice and eventually is going to be a public speaker, it gave me this motivation to maybe say, you know what, one more day. And that was 8 years ago. Man. And since then I've gone to school and, I'm living this beautiful life. And I want a handful of those by the time I die.
Absolutely. That's a great dream. That's an incredible dream.
I'm back.
Have you struggled with it before?
Suicide specifically? No. Yeah. I don't know why I denied that.
I don't know why either.
Yeah, no, there's this time in high school where, I was a closeted gay kid and was getting made fun of a lot for being gay, and raised in a Christian home where I thought I was destined for hell. And there's one night where I was sitting in my backyard staring at the pool we had back there. And I was thinking that I just wanted out. And I was thinking about getting some rocks and putting them in a bag and going to a river that was about 30 minutes from my house and drowning myself. And I don't know why that specifically. It's just the idea I had in mind at the time. But yeah, man, after doing a ton of these episodes and hearing from so many people who are in their 20s and 30s now that we were all going through the exact same thing, that we were all made fun of because I asked a girl out and she told me I was too skinny, or I was molested at 4 and then raped at 19. And so many of us, just had our own version of just some sort of, trauma that we had. And it brought us to a real dark place.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I would love to do something about that.
Man, that's a strong story. That's why you're so passionate about it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. We got to keep these kids alive.
That's correct. Did you say one more day?
I don't remember.
Hey.
I do remember I almost had this weird, I don't think it would be called an out-of-body experience, but I had this weird mental image of me at the bottom of the river.
Yeah.
And I remember just all these faces flashed through my mind of people that I loved, like my mom. And I remember Catherine, shout out to her from 2 hours ago, and a few other friends. My brother, I think I saw his face. And I think it just was sort of like a glimmer of hope of you do have people that love you.
Yeah.
And yeah. I don't remember, to be honest, if I had that mentality or not.
Honestly, it doesn't matter. You're still here.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been several years since that. Even when I came out of the closet, there were some dark days, but I never went back to thinking about suicide again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you overcome the beast,
Yeah.
you tame the beast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was not expecting that tonight.
I love it.
So I say all that to say, you should quiet the perfectionist and just commit to 21 episodes.
All right. Yeah, you're right. I got to get another mic.
Do you want it to be a guest type, like this kind of format?
Absolutely. I love both formats. Disseminating information, but also having guests on there who are much smarter than me.
Especially in Austin.
Oh, yeah.
There's a doctor I would love to get on your show.
Oh. Well,
He's already been on mine.
Oh.
But I feel like you guys could have a conversation I'm not smart enough to have with him. I'm not saying I think I'm stupid. I'm just saying I think I'm fucking dumb.
You're one tier down.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a really good guy.
Cool.
Ex special forces and
Wow. When I get to episode 9, then I'll recruit him.
okay.
Yeah.
So are you going to do it? Are you committing to this?
Yeah, let's do it. What do I have to lose?
Just a little bit of time.
Yeah, that's okay.
But it's still the experience of knowing
Wait, but what do I have to gain?
everything.
That's it. There we go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
You should do some solo episodes.
Oh, cool. I don't know what I would talk about. I'm a really bad self-ranter. I have to be prompted.
Fine, I'll come help you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, you're too
Just
kind.
give me the questions, and then I'll read them, and people will think I'm smart.
Deal.
And there's this company, I'm not using them right now, but they actually have this, I think they called it AI, but I was like, is that AI? They have something where if you're reading notes,
Yeah.
you can take your eyeballs
Oh, yeah.
and move them up.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how it does it, but I have seen this.
It's lies. I don't like it. I'm like, where's the integrity? Like, I'm so desperate for people to think that I'm not reading off a prompter that I'm going to manipulate my eyeballs.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that because I do understand, like, you do have to play the game a little bit. And I don't know if I know all the game, but, like, you got to have aesthetics and all of that stuff. you can't just rely solely on the information. You also have to rely on the presentation.
Right.
And, so I do understand it.
You're a very good presenter.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, you are. I'm not just saying that. I would never instill I'm like, you ever watch Shark Tank?
I have watched Shark Tank.
You ever happen to see an episode where one of the sharks will be like pumping them up and like, I'm not going to invest in you, but you got this. And Kevin O'Leary's like, stop giving them false hope. This business is going to zero. You should take it behind the barn and shoot it. That's how I am. I'm like Kevin. I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, you'd be a great podcaster if I didn't think it.
So matter of fact, you're just like straight to the core of things.
Bro, I'd be if I didn't think you could do it, I'd be like, bro, don't do it.
No. Hey, I think we need more people in our lives like that. Honestly,
I read this email the other day that because people aren't like that, if you do give someone an honest message, even if it's not like the wanted one,
yeah.
people will naturally trust you because they know that you're always going to give them to it straight, and that's when they'll go to you for advice.
Oh yeah, it's the same reason you don't talk bad about people in front of people.
Right.
Because then they expect you to be talking bad about them.
Right. All right. I have a few more questions for you.
Let's
First
go.
one is ideal client. You live in Austin. I'm guessing you have to live in Austin, right? You're not doing like virtual neck snaps through Zoom.
No, there are a few.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, and we do not like them. But okay, perfect client. It would be somebody who is mostly taking charge because for me, my perfect client looks a lot different than a lot of chiropractors' perfect client. I love a client who has agency and who has responsibility over their own health and is trying to utilize and implement behavioral change for them to reach whatever health goals they have set. And then I am a catalyst for those goals. I am not the prime mover. So a lot of the times I would love to be the hero of every story, but what the real hero of every story is yourself, right? And I try to do that when I have patients in front of me. So that the perfect patient would be somebody who comes in as being like, I have been doing this, this, and this, and I've realized that I also want to implement chiropractic because I think it will help me with this, this, and this. And when you look at them and you're like, okay, we're a team, you're not relying on me. And those are the perfect patients.
Is that me?
No.
Guess I'll go to one of the virtual ones.
Hey, you said shoot it straight, right?
Oh, yes, I did. You're not wrong. All right. How do these people with agency over their life find you?
Well, I also try to market to those individuals. So I don't ever try to fearmonger. And a lot of the people who go into offices that they're like, oh, you're out of alignment. I don't particularly like that language because it insinuates that you're broken, and it's easy for you to be fixed and then broken again, right? So the way that I structure my messaging is I want you to be educated. I want you to know the benefits of chiropractic, and then I want you to realize the outcomes of chiropractic and how it will increase your quality of life, not necessarily you will be reliant on it for your quality of life.
Is that why you're so active on social media? Is that so people can get a taste for who you are before they ever even meet you? Or because I feel like that's pretty unique for a chiropractor to be regularly posting on Instagram and TikTok, but you do.
It is quite regular. At least the posting that we do. A lot of the times and again, I have to play the game. So I have to post the eye-catching or the attention-catching stuff, which is the adjustment, kind of like you were doing with the popping. But then I also try to interlace exercises in there for people to implement so they can feel better, and then also educational material so they can understand what health and wellness is all about. Me being active on social media was a very intentional choice. I'm not a very big fan of it. I'm a fan of the possibilities of social media. The utilization is more of the problem that I have with it. because a lot of people use it as a dissociation technique. And I want people to live intentional lives. I don't want them to have to dissociate from them.
We had some things you wanted to talk about tonight that we didn't talk about.
Let's go. Oh no.
Well, we could do more, or I was going to say you could come back for a round 2.
Do you want me for a round 2?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Do you want a round 2?
Of course I want a round 2.
Then let's not talk about them.
Okay.
And we'll have some easy topics already queued up.
Tune in next week.
So, go to, what's your Instagram handle?
August Chiropractic.
And your website?
AugustChiropractic.com.
Very good. I have one more question for you, but before we get to that question, I would ask that you, the audience, only 1% of you guys, we might be up to 2% by now, have either left us a 5-star review on Spotify, a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, or subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's very, very helpful for us because as the show grows, so do the guests, so does the information that we can bring y'all. It doesn't cost you a penny. It only costs about 2 minutes of your time to do all 3 of those actions. So please, it would mean the world to me if you would go do that so we can reach those listeners I was talking about earlier in the show. With that being said, I'm starting something new in 2024 where I take my favorite questions from other podcasts and ask them to you here.
All right. Is this a lightning round? Is there a buzzer?
No, it's not a lightning round. I always pick it in the moment because I sort of pick it based off the conversation.
Okay.
Oh, here's a good one for you. What was your last big fork in the road decision, and how did you make it?
Ooh. Let's see. Oh, okay. So my biggest fork in the road decision recently was whether or not I would hire another doc or start a gym. And the way that I thought about how to go about it was I would rather invest in another chiropractor and have them be able to affect more people than start a gym when I can there's so many great gyms in Austin.
Yeah, there is.
That I can almost create a community, reach out to them and outsource my gym contacts. I can't really outsource my brand of chiropractic. And so I chose to go with the more internal route rather than the expansion route, although that is still hopefully in the picture somewhere.
Yeah.
But it has been an amazing, the other doc in my office, Dr. Sira, she has been spectacular. She's right out of school, and she is, I'm just always impressed by her ability to not only critically think, but to implement new things that she has learned. It's like she'll learn something, and the next day she's implemented it already. She's impressive.
What's her name again?
Dr. Sira.
It's not Sarah.
Sira, yeah.
Sierra.
Syra.
Like the mist. not at all. That's the best the humor gets around
That's where
here.
I look at you and I go, yes.
I don't ask everyone this, but I'm inclined to ask you, how old are you?
I am 33.
You've accomplished a lot.
I thank you.
And I really appreciate the example that you're setting.
Wow.
You know, you opened a business, you're employing people, your mission is to help decrease pain in our community, and I feel like that's just perfect for Austin.
Wow. You know what? That's so cool that you just said that. I think it's so rare that we tell people that they've accomplished a lot.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's huge.
You know what I noticed as well is that whenever I compliment someone in Austin, they react similarly to how you just did.
Uh-huh.
And I think I want to, that's something I'm working on in 2024 is giving out genuine compliments.
Yeah. Wow. That was a great compliment.
Yeah.
That was, I don't hear that often. Thank you. Man, that hit hard.
Good. All right. You're coming back.
Okay. I'm coming back.
Anything else that we should talk about before?
Ooh,
ending
no.
this thing?
I think we covered a lot.
We covered a ton.
Yeah.
That was a great episode.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you too. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you, the audience. You guys stay healthy, stay happy, and we'll see you next Saturday night. Bye, everyone.